Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of this here tin can, in which gravity works better than on Earth, powered by sci-fi magic. Its continuing mission to meet new civilizations, kick their asses, and teach them whatever passes for our current set of values, or have our asses kicked by them. To boldly go where no man has gone before to discuss his psychological and marital issues.
Let's pause and ask, what exactly do we mean when we say frontier?
Let's call it the Columbus complex, the urge or the itch to travel somewhere in hopes of discovering something different from what we have at home, and at least as good, or actually better, plus the adventure factor.
The ideal destination to satisfy the Columbus complex? El Dorado?
The fact that tourism is so popular today is proof positive that the Columbus complex is alive and well. Don't you like to travel? Don't you just love visiting impressive places like Paris and Rome? I know I do. There are other reasons, of course, which I expect to cover in a whole bunch of other videos that have everything to do with good taste as related to travel, but I digress.
Exploration was considered a noble pursuit in many regions over the centuries.
Ancient Greeks pioneered it, discovering Egypt, the Apennine Peninsula, and eventually England, which they called Albion, and also Britannica, from which the word Britain is derived. The Chinese and the Romans met halfway, establishing what was later called the Great Silk Road.
The final wave of exploration swept over the world in the early 19th century, and it ended in Antarctica, and that was it. There were no more blank spots on the map. So the gazes of dreamers,
Haunted by the Columbus complex,
turned to outer space, a seemingly inexhaustible field of dreams.
there was Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, and a whole plethora of American sci-fi authors, some brilliant, others less so.
Hold it, hold it, hold it. You may dream till the cows come home, but in order to fulfill your dream, to act on your dream,
You'll have to snap out of your cloudy reverie,
and secure funding.
and that's because dreaming on an empty stomach might give you hiccups. And anyway, you can't dream up a ship, much less a spaceship. You'll need some serious money, and in order to secure it, you'll have to come up with a practical reason for venturing into the unknown. This means you'll need to explain to your potential sponsors how your dreamy journey into the unknown might benefit them financially or politically.
Because those who have enough money to finance your project are not normally prone to dreaming. They just calculate the risks.
And expect some kind of return on their investment.
Let's get this out of the way. Did we land on the moon?
Yes, we did.
And shortly I will explain why I think so, despite the 3 dozen conspiracy theories cobbled together by folks who make it their mission in life to prove to you that the government is your sworn enemy, as if the government had nothing better to do all day than lie to you about the space program.
We went, we landed. So why is it taking us so long to get back up there?
Aye, there's the rub, as a character in a British play famously proclaimed.
The problem is trifold. There's the truth, actual truth about outer space. There's what actual astrophysicists, engineers, and other specialists know about outer space and have known for a long, long time. And there's what the portion of the masses prone to dreaming about space are led to believe, for one reason or another. The Soviet engineers who designed the first artificial satellite called Sputnik, they knew. Their American competitors knew. The Chinese watching from the sidelines also knew. Oh please, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, the scientist who first proposed getting into space with the help of rockets, he too already knew back in the beginning of the 20th century that we are not going to the stars.
Do you own a car?
All jokes aside, cars are a wonderful 19th century technological achievement. How much does your car weigh? Put it into neutral. Now imagine how long it would take, say, 6 able-bodied men to push it so that it covers the distance of, say, 20 miles. 6 men, 20 miles. Your car.
How many hours, Nate? How many days?
But all you have to do is pour a single gallon of milk jug's worth of this magic fluid called gasoline into the tank, and it will push your car the same 20 miles in 20 minutes. Yes, oil distilled into gasoline packs that kind of a punch. So we all agree that cars are a technological marvel. But now, try to cross the Atlantic Ocean in that car. Can you?
Can you cross interstellar space in the kind of tub that we can build here today?
The nearest star, Proxima Centauri, is 4.2 light years away, according to our latest calculations. That may or may not be accurate. At the current speed, the Parker Solar Probe, the fastest spacecraft to date, traveling at nearly 400,000 miles per hour, would reach Proxima Centauri in about 7,000 years, give or take.
Can we speed this up, maybe? Theoretically, yes. But that creates another problem, which seems to be kind of, well, insurmountable.
At 0.1% of the speed of light, a speck of dust encountered in interstellar space would drill your spacecraft right through, causing unimaginable, irreparable damage, and a rock the size of a baseball would turn all of it into rapidly dissipating plasma. Back in the 19th century, especially towards the end of it,
A whole bunch of scientists dealing with such issues as space, matter, energy, time, and so forth.
Maxwell, Stokes, Kelvin, Cauchy, Newman,
All of them had come to use the phrase elastic solid. Space to them was an elastic solid. Because it's very difficult to imagine, to picture an electromagnetic wave traveling through nothing. No, a vacuum of space cannot be nothing. It has to be something. Now that's an interesting term. Elastic solid. It's an elastic solid. Does that remind you of anything? If we turn to the first chapter of the Bible, we will suddenly light upon this passage.
and God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day." Yes, Einstein, in his 1920 lecture, contended that within the boundaries of his theory, which was the general theory of relativity, there was no need for an actual physical matter, that the fabric of space-time was not really ether.
It was something else, something like ether,
It might not have all the qualities of ether,
something palpably material.
but it might have some. So we're back to the elastic solid.
The ironic thing, the comical thing really, is that in the 18th and especially in the 19th century, some scientists made an effort to distance themselves, if not from God, then at least from the church, the very institution that financed the rise of modern science.
That paid for the education and oftentimes the upkeep of all major modern day scientists.
These scientists, they found other sponsors.
less skeptical perhaps, and more gullible, and more generous with their donations because it wasn't their money, it was the taxpayers' money.
And so these scientists, they weren't especially eager to make the connection.
To admit openly that the idea of the elastic solid had been championed
By a different group of experts for at least 2,000 years. And if we include pre Christian Judaism,
then we're talking about 35 centuries, 3,500 years, with the word firmament written down by Moses' scribes using a Proto-Phoenician alphabet. But I digress again.
so you see, traveling through an elastic solid, also known as firmament, is a tricky business. And even if we could dodge all those lumps and rocks and dust, it would still take us at, say, 1/10% of the speed of light. It would take us, what, 4,240 years to reach Proxima Centauri and find there what exactly? Therein lies the answer why it's taken us so long to get back up to the moon. Why there's so little motivation behind the project. The rhetorical question posed by the lead character of the movie Apollo 13 actually contains the answer.
People in my state have been asking why we're continuing to fund this program now that we've beaten the Russians to the moon. Imagine if Christopher Columbus had come back from the New World and no one returned in his footsteps.
Now, setting aside all the social, political, and other problems, setting moral issues, setting all that aside,
Columbus lands on an island in the Caribbean, and those who come after him actually land on the continent. And what do they see? The air is breathable.
in fact, it's cleaner than some places back in Europe. The gravity matches home. You can walk around easily, you can jump up and down, you can lie down, not a problem.
There are hills and valleys, rivers and lakes brimming with fresh water. Fertile soil abounds. Fruit, fish, and vast pastures are everywhere.
And there's gold. No, it's not India. It's much better in countless ways. Naturally, there was no question of coming back or not.
It was more like, how quickly could we settle here if we started right now? Let's build a stronghold using local materials, and there were tons of those. Well, you get the picture.
And then there's Armstrong setting foot on the moon for the first time.
You can't walk normally because of the insufficient gravity. You have to hop and keep hopping. You can't breathe. You have to wear an oxygen tank along with a spacesuit to protect yourself against radiation. The surface is just rock and dust. There's no food, no water, and no life. It's all black and white. The only thing that has color is Mother Earth hanging over the horizon. There's nothing here for us. It's cold, barren, and the deadly indifference of the environment is indistinguishable from hostility. As for Mars, it's a lot farther out and a lot deadlier.
The rest of the solar system and the odds of landing crewed spacecraft there?
Mercury, too close to the sun, radiation off the charts. Venus, atmospheric pressure is 90 times that of Earth, you'd be squashed. The atmosphere is poisonous, and the winds are brutal. Jupiter's moons, Ganymede and Callisto, have solid icy surfaces, thin atmospheres, and truckloads of radiation from Jupiter's magnetic field. Long-term settlements, not possible. Titan, Saturn's most intriguing moon, thick atmosphere. The pressure is 1.5 of the Earth's, mostly methane. Rocky surface, theoretically possible. And then there's that little thing called Pluto. Icy, solid surface, gravity about 6% of that of Earth's, temperature minus 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Travel time with current tech, one way, 9 to 12 years.
Finally, this brings us back to all the conspiracy theories regarding the moon landings. Some folks insist that some of the footage and photos are fake. I am going to give you my opinion now. And mind you, it's not a theory, it's just an opinion. I am certain the landings did take place. All six of them. Plus, there was one failed attempt, Apollo 13. I suspect that some of the footage, as well as some of the photos, were indeed fake. Now, why is that? Because raw space photos look like shit. Because they're not convincing.
Because some actual space photos do look fake, like a 13-year-old's do-it-yourself project. A bed sheet with holes for stars and a papier-mâché Jupiter hung from the ceiling with duct tape.
That's the reality of outer space.
Cold, lifeless, monotonous, relentlessly black and white, and kind of boring.
The images you see on sites that have to do with astronomy, cosmology, and so forth, they're not really photographs.
It's not a great secret, as folks who are more than just casual observers of astronomy well know. The actual photos, coyly referred to by NASA as raw images, are spruced up by software using fairly simple algorithms, which are, by the way, available to the general public. No telescope can actually see any shapes of stars, much less distant galaxies.
Telescopes register signals, after which these are processed by combining data from multiple grayscale impressions. Colors are assigned. The resulting images are then cleaned up. Cosmic ray interference and noise are removed. Backgrounds are balanced. Adjustments are made to align the images.
The colorful image of the Horsehead Nebula, for instance, is a collage of black and white impressions with a computer program assigning various colors to various portions of it depending on the strength of the signal.
You could, I don't know, pick a person you dislike intensely, obtain a photo, high-resolution photo, of their bare ass, and apply the same algorithms to it, and the results are probably going to be even more fascinating and intriguing and colorful. In other words, to call these things photographs is a dishonest practice, but you could call them fake photos.
Ever seen Saturn through a telescope?
It's a blurry, grayish-yellow dot with faint rings, and those sharp images of the gaseous layers, just computer interpretations using simple algorithms. Now here's some actual photos of Saturn taken by the Cassini probe from up close. The Cassini was not even equipped with a camera capable of taking color photos. It wasn't necessary. Outer space has very little color, and the further you get from Earth, the less color you see.
And all those colorful wonders you see, like in Star Trek intros and stuff, all of them are inspired by phenomena that you see here on Earth, and only here on Earth.
That's Aurora Borealis, aka Northern Lights. And this is a bunch of icebergs, Arctic or Antarctic. And this, oh come on, this is the eye of a hurricane, shot from a satellite. Give me a break, people.
This raises the question, should we continue with our space programs? My answer is absolutely. For one thing, the satellites that have been bouncing out there in orbit, they are of great benefit to us here on Earth. Research in outer space is a fascinating thing. We're learning new things every day, and there is no such thing as too much data. We might eventually come up with a new paradigm. The sooner the better, in my opinion, because the current paradigm slows everybody down considerably. I'm not going to go into detail on this topic because it enrages some folks. We absolutely should continue sending tin cans and telescopes and robots out there, and governments absolutely should continue funding these programs. Knowledge is power, knowledge is good.
Oh, and by the way, the purpose of this video is in no way to belittle what Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin did. What they accomplished was a great feat of courage and, yes, patriotism. And yes, it was a giant leap for all mankind. Neil and Buzz and the rest of the participants of the Apollo program are great people, true American heroes, who absolutely deserve our respect and admiration. I wish we would rethink the whole idea behind our space opera projects, all that junk sci-fi nonsense. You know, we're way too conservative. For instance, the Stargate series was a healthy alternative to all those space barges from Star Trek and Star Wars. Okay, setting all that modern mythology about evolved humans looking like bug-eyed worms, setting all that aside, the idea of creating a stable wormhole, providing a shortcut through space or space-time, as folks say who like to come off as sophisticated, that idea is at least theoretically sound.
Unfortunately, midway through that show, Stargate,
The producers caved in.
and introduced a star barge, a ship. We must have our ships. It's the Columbus complex. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Check out my site. The link is below. Look at some of my paintings. Consider purchasing one. Look at some of my books. Consider purchasing one. I am Ricky Verneo coming to you from Brooklyn, New York, and I'll see you soon.